As the 1963 football season drew near, the natural topic of conversation around the Dartmouth campus was, could the Indians possibly even come close to duplicating the wonderful undefeated untied record they had had in 1962? The coaching staff had to find replacements for many departed stars, including All-American center Don McKinnon, All-East quarterback Bill King, All-Ivy guard Ed Boyce, All-Ivy tackle Bill Blumenshine, and the nation's leading place kicker Bill Wellstead. The Big Green opened their season by playing for the first time. The Bisons had already had one game under their belts, as well as having the advantage of a spring practice. The Bisons' passing attack moves the ball into Dartmouth territory in the first quarter, but the Indians show that they have the same solid rushing defense that stopped everyone cold the previous season, as Tom Parkinson and Dale Runge stop a big Bucknell halfback in his tracks. Senior end Al Pierce stacks up another play, and in this game, Dartmouth allows Bucknell only 26 yards gained rushing. Gary Wilson starts in motion from his wingback spot and then gets the Indians out of dangerous territory by quick kicking for 57 yards. On the first play of the second quarter, quarterback Dana Kelly starts a touchdown drive by lateraling to Jack McLean and then taking the ball back in a reverse before firing a pass to left end Charlie Greer. Greer then makes a diving catch on another Kelly aerial to move the ball down to the 25-yard line. Kelly again fades back to Ziff to Pest, but slips the ball to right half Jack McLean, who fakes two men off their feet and then picks up good blocks by Spangenberg and Greer to go into the end zone for the first touchdown of the season. A few minutes later, the Indians start another drive as Kelly drops back and fires to Tom Spangenberg, who dances past several men for 17 yards. The Indians come out of their triangular huddle, and Kelly fakes a rollout to the right before handing off to McLean, who hits back around the other end for 14 yards. Dartmouth shifts from a slot left to a wing right formation. Kelly fakes to Spangenberg off tackle and then bootlegs around end for 17 yards. Two plays later, Kelly again starts to roll out to the right, but this time throws a screen pass back to the left to McLean, who battles his way into the end zone for a touchdown. Gary Wilson adds the extra point to give Dartmouth a 13-0 lead. Running next from a double wing formation, Kelly fakes to fullback Tom Parkinson and then hands off to Dave Lawson behind the trap block of Pete Sapione. Lawson picks up 15 yards on this play. Bucknell's passing attack brings them two quick touchdowns, and Dartmouth leads by a single point. The Big Green then starts a long march as Parkinson smashes off tackle for 13 yards. After completing passes to Spangenberg and Lawson, Kelly again goes back to throw. When his receivers are covered, Dana takes off and fights his way for 12 yards. Fullback Tom Parkinson then hits off tackle for another first down behind the fine blocking of Greer, Spangenberg, Keibel, and Runge. It appears that Kelly is again going to give the ball to Parkinson hitting off tackle, but instead it is given to Lawson, who hits back at the left on the scissors play. This long drive goes for naught when Wilson misses on a field goal attempt. In the fourth period, the Indians again start to move as Kelly dodges several Bucknell linemen and then rifles a bullet pass to left end Charlie Greer. A few plays later, Kelly fakes to fullback Parkinson but keeps the ball himself over left guard and drives all the way to the 16-yard line. The touchdown is scored as Kelly drives over on the quarterback wedge play. Gary Wilson adds the extra point, and in the final few seconds, Bucknell scored on another long pass. It was a tough contest, but Dartmouth was happy to settle for a 20-18 victory over a strong opening game opponent. Dartmouth opened the Ivy League season against Pennsylvania. The Penn players had openly said that their one big objective of the season was to knock off Dartmouth. But in the first quarter, it took the Big Green just 8 plays to cover 93 yards for a touchdown. From his flanker position, Dave Lawson throws a crushing block on the Penn linebacker as Spangenberg spins around end for 10 yards. 2 plays later, Kelly fakes to Lawson, who has started in motion. But instead of an end sweep, Kelly keeps the ball and tosses a long pass to right end Scotty Creelman, who has broken into the clear behind the Penn secondary. Gary Wilson kicks the extra point to give Dartmouth a quick 7-0 lead. Penn's efforts to pass are not so successful as their tailback is rushed hard by the Big Green line, led by Curran, Creelman, and Komovas. Penn is forced to punt. Dick Horton shoots through from his linebacker position to partially deflect the ball. Defensive quarterback Bill Madden reacts to field the ball, and Dartmouth is again in scoring territory. On the first play, a big hole is opened off tackle, and Tom Spangenberg cuts back to pick up 9 yards. With a yard to go for a first down, Penn is expecting a smash into the line. Kelly fakes to fullback Parkinson, but keeps the ball on his hip as he rolls out and throws to Scott Creelman for another touchdown. When Penn next has the ball, the Dartmouth second team shows the type of pursuit and gang tackling that helps to make the Indians one of the nation's perennial leaders in defensive statistics. On the first play of the second quarter, Kelly continues his aerial barrage as he sprints out to the left and passes to Charlie Greer, who makes a first down behind Tom Spangenberg's block. Shortly before the half, the Quakers threaten the Dartmouth goal line for the first time in 4 years, but the Indians' jitterbugging defenses stop the threat. In the third quarter, Dartmouth moves the ball on plays such as this 13-yard blast-off tackle by Tom Spangenberg. The Indians' third touchdown is set up by a brilliant pass interception by sophomore left halfback Irv Burkholder. Irv receives some fine blocks as he returns for 26 yards before being brought down. Unfortunately, Burkholder was injured the following week and had to miss the rest of the season. The Dartmouth second team opens a big hole as Bruce Gottschall hands off in a quick opening play to right halfback Mike Urbanek. Running from a double wing formation, quarterback Gottschall again hands off to Urbanek after faking to the fullback Benzian. Urbanek drives for 11 yards. On the following play, Gottschall goes over for the score on a wedge up the middle. At the start of the fourth quarter, the Dartmouth defense again stops Penn, and the Quakers are forced to punt. Chris Van Cura takes the ball at his own 40 and starts to the left, but reverses back to Dave Parenchief. Parenchief receives some great blocks by Clark, LaMontagne, Bryan, Steinhauser, and Hudak, among others, to cover the 60 yards into the end zone untouched. Gary Wilson kicks his 4th straight extra point to put Dartmouth out in front 28-0. On the first play following the kickoff, Dartmouth guard Paul Soa breaks through to spill the Penn tailback for an 18-yard loss. The Penn attack continues to be frustrated. Here, sophomore end Tom Clark penetrates to nail a Penn passer. In addition to starting the Ivy League season off with a win, this game was Dartmouth's 13th straight victory. Brown came to Hanover fresh from an impressive victory over Yale with a reputation of having a great passing attack. The first play of the game, the Indians show that they will be as tough as ever on defense as end Scott Creelman smashes into the Brown interference, and Ted Bracken and Dave Parentchief fill in to smear the ball carrier. Brown is forced to punt, and Jack McLean returns up the middle for 22 yards. On Dartmouth's first offensive play of the game, Comavis, Bracken, and Frederick open a big hole. McLean pops through for a first down to start a touchdown drive. Another big chunk of yardage is made as Tom Spangenberg does a neat piece of running after taking a quick pass from Dana Kelly. On the next play, McLean is flanked wide to the right, but the ball is given to fullback Tom Parkinson, who bowls a tackle for 8 yards. The next play moves the ball to the 1-yard line. From there, quarterback Kelly wedges over the middle for the touchdown. Gary Wilson adds the extra point. Bob Comavis, wearing the same number 51 jersey, reminds Dartmouth fans of Don McKinnon, who made All-American center the previous year while playing for the Indians. Brown attempts a fake pass play here, but sophomore tackle Jerry LaMontagne hits the Brown ball carrier first and is then helped out by the rest of the Dartmouth line. In the second quarter, fullback Parkinson fakes into the line, but the ball is given to Jack McLean, hitting through a big hole opened by Charlie Greer and Jan Depphaus. After taking a quick pass from Kelly, Tom Spangenberg picks a soft landing spot as he's brought down in a balloon that is floated out onto the field. After an exchange of punts, Spangenberg slices back over center and picks his way for a first down. Quarterback Kelly then sends Spangenberg in motion as a decoy, rolls out and passes to Jack McLean for another first down. Early in the third quarter, Spangenberg starts in motion, but the ball is given to fullback Tom Parkinson, who hits up the middle for 14 yards behind the blocking of Curran and Bracken. 2 plays later, Spangenberg again goes in motion. This time, Kelly fakes to Parkinson, but gives the ball to Spangenberg, who almost breaks away for a good 16 yards before he is brought down. Another good gain is made as Kelly sprints out to the left and throws a quick pass to Spangenberg. After moving the ball all the way to the Brown 9-yard line, Dartmouth is set back on a penalty and Wilson misses a field goal attempt. For the remainder of the period, the Indian defense continues to shackle Brown's running. Here, Bill Curran breaks through to hit the ball carrier first. On the first play of the fourth quarter, Dana Kelly throws a long pass to Captain Scott Creelman. This is the second week in a row that Kelly completes 10 out of 13 passes. Creelman's knee touches on the 2-yard line, but in the next play, Kelly goes over and Wilson converts to give Dartmouth a 14-0 lead. Late in the fourth period, Bob Hall, Brown's great sophomore quarterback, throws a touchdown pass to John Parry, the league's leading receiver. In the remaining minutes, Brown continues to fill the air with passes, but their last threat ends when Dartmouth end Steve Bryan jars the ball loose from Hall, and Curran recovers for the Big Green. Parry's touchdown was the first point Brown had scored against Dartmouth in 7 years of play. Coach Blackman looks over his squad preparatory to the game with the big Holy Cross Crusaders, who are determined to break Dartmouth's winning streak and to gain revenge for the Green's victory over them the previous season. The Indians march 73 yards on a sustained drive for their first score. Here, Jack McLean squirms for extra yardage after taking a rollout pass from quarterback Dana Kelly. On the next play, right end Scott Creelman and fullback Tom Parkinson open a hole, which Tom Spangenberg hits for 7 yards. The opening score is made as Kelly rolls out and tosses a short pass to Spangenberg, who backs in for the touchdown. Gary Wilson adds the extra point to give Dartmouth a 7-0 lead. The Dartmouth defense is again tough to dent. And Scott Creelman does a great job of warding off 2 blockers and making this tackle. On the following play, a strong rush led by tackles Pete Frederick and Steve Hudak stops the Holy Cross quarterback for a loss. Shortly before the half, however, the Crusaders take an 8-7 lead as quarterback Polo Castro completes a touchdown pass to halfback Jim Gravel. Dartmouth dominates the second half, rolling up 11 first downs and 175 yards to 2 first downs and 32 yards for Holy Cross. Quarterback Kelly starts to hit on passes as he throws to Tom Spangenberg, and then on the following play passes 20 yards to right end Tom Clark. Jack McLean smashes over left tackle for a first down on the 10-yard line behind the blocking of Bracken, Depphouse, Greer, and Parkinson, but the Dartmouth drive was stopped on the 1-yard line. Fierce gang tackling kept Holy Cross Penn deep in their territory for the remainder of the period, but the Crusaders still led by a point going into the fourth quarter. The Dartmouth second team moves the ball well as Chris Van Cura goes around end for 20 yards behind the blocking of Gottschall, O'Brien, Loomy, and Benzian. This drive carried all the way to the 3, but a field goal attempt was off to the side. The next time the Indians have the ball, a 60-yard drive is started by this power smash by left halfback Dave Parenchief. Another first down is picked up when quarterback Dana Kelly fires a hook pass to captain Scott Creelman. The touchdown is made on a tricky play as Kelly tosses the ball to O'Brien. O'Brien hands back to Kelly, and then Kelly passes back to O'Brien, and Bobby goes in for the score. Holy Cross cannot move against the Dartmouth defense, and a desperation pass is intercepted by fullback Tom Parkinson. Tom Spangenberg hits off tackle for 17 yards before being brought down by the last man. Dartmouth maintained possession of the ball and had moved to the 5-yard line when the game ended. This game increased Dartmouth's longest in the nation winning streak to 15 straight victories. Dartmouth traveled to Cambridge to play Harvard on a hot sunny day before a capacity crowd of 38,000. This was the strongest Harvard team in years, and the Indians were hobbled by injuries to a number of key players. With the first 4 left halfbacks all on the injury list, Bob O'Brien was switched to left half spot just 2 days before the game. Early in the game, the Indians intercept a pass and move downfield on plays such as this 8-yard smash inside tackle by O'Brien. After moving the ball to the 13-yard line, quarterback Dana Kelly fakes to O'Brien but keeps the ball in his hip and throws to Jack McLean, who makes a beautiful catch in the end zone for a touchdown. The Dartmouth fans go wild, and Wilson adds the extra point to give Dartmouth a quick 7-0 lead. In the second quarter, the Indians continue to hold Harvard scoreless as their quarterback is rushed hard on plays such as this by Pete Sapione, Jan Depphouse, and Steve Bryan. Linebacker Bob Komovis does a fine job of meeting Harvard's off-tackle power play and stopping it cold at the line of scrimmage. After intercepting a pass deep in Dartmouth's territory in the second play of the third quarter, Harvard scores a quick touchdown to knot the score at 7-7. Dartmouth comes back strong as Kelly fades back and lobs a screen pass to McLean, good for 22 yards. McLean shows that he is equally adept on defense as he fills in to make a shoestring tackle. Harvard is forced to punt, but on their second play, the Indians lose the ball on a fumble. Stopped for 3 downs, quarterback Humanek of Harvard floats a perfect pass to his big right end Yulsikis, who takes the ball over his shoulder for the touchdown that means the end of Dartmouth's long winning streak. On the first play following the kickoff, Tom Spangenberg almost breaks away behind the blocks of Creelman, Runge, and Depphouse. After Harvard increases the lead with a field goal at the start of the fourth quarter, the Indians fight back with a 74-yard scoring drive. 20 yards are made on this fake rollout pass to Jack McLean. Another big gain is made as Kelly rolls out to the left and then throws back to right end Scotty Creelman. The final yard is made as Kelly wedges over the middle for the touchdown. A pass for the 2-point conversion was knocked down, but Dartmouth was back in the ball game with the score now 17-13. After stopping Bill Grana, the big Harvard fullback, on 4th down, the Indians take over the ball and immediately call for timeout to stop the clock. Kelly again picks out Captain Scott Creelman, hits him with a pass good for 13 yards, but time runs out, and the nation's longest winning streak is finally ended after 15 straight victories. On November 2nd, the Big Green traveled to the Yale Bowl to play the Bulldogs on a muddy field before a crowd of 36,000. Yale scored in the first few minutes of the game to take a quick 7-0 lead. Pete Benzian, subbing for the injured Tom Parkinson, then starts a Dartmouth drive by blasting up the middle for a first down. Kelly mixes the Dartmouth attack, alternating between runs and passes. On this play, Kelly passes to Jack McLean, who carries to the Yale 35. On the next play, Tom Spangenberg drives up the middle for another first down, but the Dartmouth drive is halted by a fumble. After a running play is stopped, the Yale quarterback attempts to pass, but is spilled for a loss by Runge, Depphouse, and McCants. On the first play of the second quarter, Pearson Bracken stopped the Yale quarterback for another loss. A fumble on their own 11-yard line leads to another Yale field goal. Following the kickoff, the Big Greens start a 60-yard march as Kelly passes to Captain Scott Creelman. Another first down is made as the ball is given to Spangenberg on a trap play over right guard. The drive carries to the Yale 8, but time runs out in the half, ends with Dartmouth trailing 10-0. In the third period, Yale is able to make but one first down. On this play, Dick Horton spills the Yale option play for a loss. The first time the Indians have the ball, they move 62 yards for a score. A big gain is made as Kelly fakes to Spangenberg and then passes to fullback Pete Benzian, who carries to the Yale 27-yard line. From his flanker position, McLean throws a crushing block on the Yale linebacker as Spangenberg drives to the 12. The Indians are set back on a penalty, but Kelly gains back the yardage by throwing a delayed pass to Tom Spangenberg. Quarterback Dana Kelly then covers the final yard on a wedge play up the middle. Dartmouth's attempted pass for a two-point conversion is knocked down, and the Indians still trail 10-6. A few minutes later, the Big Green second team moves the ball into scoring territory as Parent Chief carries to the 4. It appears that Dartmouth is headed for a certain touchdown, but the exchange between center and quarterback is fumbled, and Yale recovers. The fourth quarter is largely a defensive battle, although the Indians move the ball on occasions such as this 16-yard pass from Kelly to O'Brien. O'Brien makes another first down and a double reverse play before being stopped by a fine tackle. Dartmouth's last threat is ended by an intercepted pass, and the Indians suffer their second 4-point loss in spite of having outgained Yale rushing and passing and having made twice as many first downs. On November 9th, Dartmouth met the Columbia Lions in Baker Field in New York City. Columbia was led by its highly publicized quarterback, Archie Roberts. The game was considered a toss-up as the Lions had previously tied Harvard and lost to Princeton by but a single point. The Indians immediately showed that they were ready for this game, however, as on the first play following the kickoff, Spangenberg went around end for 9 yards, and then on the following play, McLean hits off tackle for 12 yards behind the blocks of Parkinson, Kern, and Bryan. Quarterback Kelly then drops back and fires a bullet pass down the middle to Scotty Creelman for another first down. Another big chunk of yardage is gained as Kelly rolls out and throws to Jack McLean, who spins away from one tackler and carries down to the 6-yard line. Watch right end Scotty Creelman outfake the Columbia halfback to take Kelly's pass for a touchdown. The Indians kept the ball for 13 plays while driving the length of the field for this score. When Archie Roberts first attempts to pass for Columbia, his receivers are covered, and he is dropped for a loss by Bracken and Runge. The Indians take over the ball again and start to march, with the big game being another rollout pass from Kelly to McLean. On the following play, Tom Spangenberg shows the type of footwork that makes him a great runner as he picks up 9 yards off tackle. Kelly then fakes to Spangenberg but keeps the ball himself up the middle for 11 yards. On the following play, Bobby O'Brien follows a wave of blockers to go in for the touchdown. And this time it has taken the Indians only 7 plays to travel better than 60 yards and the score. On the first play of the second quarter, the Big Green team runs from a double wing formation, and McLean hits inside tackle for 10 yards. Archie Roberts shows why he is considered so dangerous, as it appears that he is trapped. But he then runs up to the line and gets away a long pass to a receiver who was broken into the clear when the Dartmouth secondary relaxed. Roberts' passes were stopped in the next 3 plays, and with but 2 minutes remaining in the half, the Indians covered 80 yards for another touchdown. On this play, Captain Scott Creelman outran the Columbia halfback to take a pass from Kelly, good for 39 yards. In this game, Scotty caught 5 passes and 105 yards. On the next play, Kelly picks out little left half Chris Van Cura, who has broken into the clear, and Chris carries the ball all the way to the 3-yard line. 2 plays later, Kelly goes over for the score on a quarterback sneak. Dartmouth took the second half kickoff and quickly drove 82 yards for another touchdown. The big gain of the march is made when Kelly rolls wide and throws a long pass. Scotty Creelman outmans Archie Roberts to come down with the ball. Kelly again starts to the right on what looks like the same play. But this time, Creelman breaks back to the sideline to make another catch for another first down. Dartmouth continues to operate from a different formation almost every play as McLean starts in motion, but the ball goes to Spangenberg, who hits up the middle behind the trap block of Eddie Keibel. The always unpredictable Kelly calls the conventional T formation and hands off to Jack McLean, who drives in for the score. Coach Blackman retires the Dartmouth starting team for the day after only 6 minutes of play in the second half. The Indians' second team continues to move the ball well, however, as Bobby O'Brien hits off tackle for 13 yards. Columbia holds on the 3, but is right back in trouble when Archie Roberts' punt is returned 43 yards by O'Brien. Sophomore Mike Urbanek then comes in and smashes his way into the end zone for the touchdown. 2 minutes later, the Dartmouth third team provides some fine blocking as Urbanek breaks up the middle for 31 yards and another score. But this one was called back because of a backfield and motion penalty. In the fourth quarter, Archie Roberts seldom has time to pass as the hard-charging Big Green line keeps the pressure on him. Even the Dartmouth fourth unit looks sharp as they shift into a slot formation, and quarterback Tim Taylor hands left half Gene Natty, who carries all the way to the 1. On the next play, Taylor went over for the score on a quarterback sneak. On the first play following the kickoff, sophomore tackle Dave Coughlin knifes through to spill the ball carrier for a 4-yard loss. When they next had the ball, it took the Big Green just 3 plays to score. Quarterback Dick Horton gives the ball to fullback Joel Feldman off tackle for 9 yards. Horton then fakes the same play to Feldman, but slips the ball to Mike Urbanek, hitting back in the other direction on a scissors play. Urbanek goes all the way for the touchdown, and Gary Wilson adds his 5th extra point of the day to make the score Dartmouth 47 and Columbia 6. On November 16th, 19 Dartmouth seniors played their final game in Hanover before a capacity house party's weekend crowd. Cornell was led by Gary Wood, who had ranked 2nd in the entire nation in total offense the previous year. The first time Cornell has the ball, they are stopped cold by Dartmouth's shifting defenses, with Pete Sapione making the tackle. Unfortunately, Pete injured a knee a few plays later and was lost for the remainder of the season. On Dartmouth's first play with the ball, Tom Spangenberg does a tremendous job of running as he spins and drives for 12 yards. Spangenberg picks up another 14 yards as he takes a pass from Dana Kelly and outfakes several Cornell tacklers. Kelly then fakes to Spangenberg, but hands to Jack McLean, who breaks up the middle for 9 yards as his blockers wipe out the Cornell linebackers. The Indians lose the ball on a pass interception, but come right back downfield on tricky plays such as this fake rollout by Kelly with a shovel pass back to Bob O'Brien. Later on in the period, Kelly fades back and picks out his favorite target, Scott Creelman, on a play good for 18 yards. This is one of 6 passes Captain Creelman caught in this game. In the second quarter, Spangenberg takes a pitch out from Kelly and starts wide. He then cuts back inside end behind some fine blocks to break into the clear and ramble 42 yards before finally being brought down. Now here's that same play as seen from the sidelines. Another big gain is made as Kelly fires a pass to left end Al Pierce. The drive carries to the 12-yard line, and then Gary Wilson comes into the game to kick a field goal to give Dartmouth a 3-0 lead. A minute later, there is a Cornell fumble, which is recovered by Dartmouth. But the referee rules that the whistle has been blown before the fumble. On the next play, Cornell throws a pass to go out in front 7-3. On the first play following the kickoff, Kelly throws to Creelman for a first down. Another pass is completed to O'Brien, and then Kelly throws to Tom Spangenberg on the 17-yard line. The Indians are set back in a penalty, so the half ends with them still on the short end of the score. On the first play of the third quarter, Kelly throws a delayed pass to Creelman, and Scotty picks up some good blocks as he runs for 36 yards. After one play, the ball is given to McLean as he cuts back behind Bill Kern's block and breaks up the middle for 18 yards. A fourth down pass is overthrown in the end zone, however, so the Indians still trail. At the start of the fourth quarter, fullback Tom Parkinson cuts down the Cornell end as Kelly rolls out to throw. Scotty Creelman makes a brilliant diving catch for a first down. The next time the Indians have the ball, they are not to be denied. A 63-yard scoring march is started when fullback Tom Parkinson breaks up the middle and then uses a straight arm effectively to gain a few extra yards. The key play in the drive is made when Kelly fades deep and throws a long pass to Jack McLean. McLean carries all the way to the 12-yard line before being knocked out of bounds. 2 plays later, Kelly fakes to Parkinson but gives the ball to McLean, who battles all the way to the 1. Tom Spangenberg then drives over for the touchdown that gives Dartmouth its 9th straight victory over Cornell. Gary Wilson adds the extra point. Following the kickoff, the Indians hold Cornell for downs, and on the first play after taking over the ball, Dave Parenchief hits over guard for 11 yards. With but 1 minute left in the game, Dartmouth is forced to punt, and kicking specialist Ted Friel boots a beauty that travels 46 yards before being downed on the 1-yard line by Jack McLean. With time for only 1 play remaining, Cornell attempts a desperation pass, but Pierce hits their quarterback in the end zone for a safety, making the final score 12-7 in Dartmouth's favor. In their 9 years at Dartmouth, the Indian coaching staff has still never lost an Ivy League game in Hanover. The Dartmouth-Princeton game was postponed a week due to the tragic death of President Kennedy. When Dartmouth again made the trip down to Princeton, it was a cold, windy day that appeared ideal for the Tigers' strong rushing offense, but bad for the Indians' passing attack. Dana Kelly shows early in the game that Dartmouth is still going to throw the ball in spite of the wind as he drops back and connects with his favorite target, Scotty Creelman. 2 plays later, Kelly sprints out to the right and fires another pass to Creelman. The Princeton single-wing offense is unable to move the ball consistently in the first quarter. On this play, Creelman, Komovitz, Curran, Depphaus throw the Tiger tailback for a loss. When Dartmouth next gets the ball, Kelly sends a man in motion, but the ball is given to fullback Tom Parkinson on a quick trap play up the middle, good for 12 yards. Kelly continues to throw with amazing accuracy in the strong wind as he flanks Tom Spangenberg wide to the left and then hits him with a hook pass, good for 10 yards and a first down. Quarterback Dana Kelly then calls the same type of pattern to the other side and rifles the ball out to right halfback Jack McLean. Princeton attempts but 1 pass in the first half, and senior center Milt Steinhauser makes them feel it is 1 too many as he drops back and intercepts. On the next play, Spangenberg starts in motion. Kelly spins and fakes to McLean, but keeps the ball in his hip and passes to Scott Creelman, who carries all the way to the Princeton 3-yard line. Pierce, Depphaus, Keibel, and Spangenberg then clear the way as Jack McLean drives over for the touchdown. Gary Wilson converts and makes the score 7-0. In the second quarter, the Dartmouth defense continues to swarm. On this play, Cosmo Iacovazzi, the Princeton fullback, is met first by tackle Jerry LaMontagne. With but 2 minutes remaining in the half, the Tigers take advantage of a poor Dartmouth punt, and Iacovazzi, the nation's leading scorer, vaults into the end zone for the touchdown. The Indians have time to move the ball to midfield as Kelly completes a pass to left end Al Pierce, but the half ends with a score knotted 7-7. In the third quarter, the wind is blowing so hard that it is almost impossible to pass, although Kelly does fire the ball out to McLean for 10 yards in this play. On the next play, key blocks are thrown by Spangenberg, Parkinson, and Runge as McLean sweeps left end. But 2 bad punts hurt Dartmouth, and Princeton goes out in front 21-7. With Dartmouth trailing by 14 points, some people figure the game is over. But the Indians show their spirit and courage as they start to drive when McLean takes a fast pitch out around end for 8 yards. On the next play, Kelly fakes the fullback belly to Parkinson, but slips the ball to Spangenberg on a scissors play. Tom kicks up his heels and breaks through the line, going for 33 yards before being brought down. On the following play, it again looked like the ball is being given to Spangenberg on the scissors play. But this time, Kelly keeps it and passes to Scotty Creelman for another big gain. The drive carries over into the fourth period as on the first play of the quarter, Spangenberg finds a gaping hole in the Princeton line and hits for 12 yards. Spangenberg then follows pulling left guard Ed Keibel into the end zone for a touchdown, and the Indians have marched 80 yards to get back into the ball game. Dartmouth always plays to win, so the Big Green goes for the 2-point conversion as Spangenberg again follows Keibel off tackle to bring the score up to 21-15. The Indians are on the warpath now, and Princeton is unable to make a single first down in the fourth quarter. This reverse play is smeared by Jan Lumi. The Big Green is soon knocking on the door for another touchdown as fullback Parkinson carries to within a foot of the goal line. It then appears as if McLean has squirmed into the end zone for the score, but the officials rule that his knee had touched, and Princeton takes over on downs. Deep in their own territory, Princeton calls upon their ace fullback Cosmo Iacovazzi, but senior guard Dave DiColesta makes a smashing tackle to jar the ball loose and is recovered by Captain Scotty Creelman. On the first play, McLean goes in for the tying touchdown as Pierce, Spangenberg, Parkinson, and DiColesta all mow their men down. Gary Wilson then comes in and very calmly puts the ball directly through the uprights. The Indians go out in front 22-21 in one of the most courageous comebacks in Dartmouth history. There is still 5 1/2 minutes remaining to play, but on the first play following the kickoff, Princeton's captain Jim Rockenbach is smeared for a 5-yard loss. The Tigers are unable to move, and when the game ends, Dartmouth again has possession of the ball. After last year's undefeated season, the Indians have come back with a fine 7-2 record, and by tying for the championship, become the first team in Ivy League history to have ever retained the title. Nowhere is the thrill and excitement of a football weekend more noticeable than in a small college town, and this is particularly true of Hanover. In 8 years of official Ivy League play, the Big Green team has never finished lower than third and is the only team to have captured the league title 3 times. Part of the reason for the success of the Indian teams is due to the tremendous Dartmouth spirit that is noticeable among both undergraduates and alumni. Here, Coach Bob Blackman and his starting backfield look on as the freshman class goes to work in building one of the traditional bonfires in the center of the college green for the rally that takes place the evening before every home game. On the the left is right halfback Jack McLean from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Only 160 pounds, Jack is captain of the 1964 team. He's talking to Tom Spangenberg from Darien, Connecticut, who has been All-Ivy for the past 2 seasons. Quarterback Dana Kelly, who won the Ivy League passing title, is from Winchester, Massachusetts, and fullback Tom Parkinson is from Amherst, Massachusetts. Line coach Jack Musick meets with a group of his tackles in front of the School of Business Administration. On the left is Steve Hudak, a junior engineering student from Wenatchee, New Jersey. Senior tackle Dave Stenger from Cincinnati, Ohio, is attending the School of Business. Sophomore Jerry LaMontagne from Southington, Connecticut, shows great promise for the future. And Pete Frederick from Wilmington, Delaware, is president of the junior class. Head freshman coach Earl Hamilton visits with some players in front of the Dartmouth Medical School's new facility. Center Jim Grace from Canton, Mississippi, is a Merit Scholarship winner. Fullback Joel Feldman from Great Neck, New York, plans a career in medicine. Milt Steinhauser from York, Pennsylvania, started several games at center. And fullback Pete Benzian from Anoka, Minnesota, is a 3-year letterman. Freshman line coach Neil Putnam meets a group of guards at Dartmouth's new Leverone Fieldhouse. That's Dave DeColesta, a senior from Rochester, New York. Lynn McCants, a senior from Kansas City, Missouri. Pete Sapione, a junior from Portchester, New York. And Ted Bracken, a junior from Natick, Massachusetts, along with Coach Putnam. Coach Blackman stands with the starting Big Green line in front of Hopkins Center. Captain and All-IVN Scott Creelman from Melrose, Massachusetts. Right tackle Dale Runge from Higginsville, Missouri. All-Ivy right guard Bill Curran from Portland, Maine. Center Bob Komovis from St. Paul, Minnesota. Junior left guard Ed Keibel from Rockaway, New Jersey. Left tackle Jan Depphaus from Pineville, Louisiana. Left end Charlie Greer from Fort Collins, Colorado. Backfield coach Will Volz and some of his halfbacks turn from the college green. Sophomore Mike Urbanek from Lorain, Ohio, will be hard to stop in the next 2 seasons. Dave Lawson, a senior from Knoxville, Tennessee, is a 3-year letterman. Dave Parenchief, a junior from Mount Holly, New Jersey, was a top defensive back. Chris Van Cura from Lockport, Illinois, is another senior 3-year letterman. And Bobby O'Brien from Northborough, Massachusetts, should become an outstanding back. On one of Dartmouth's many practice fields, then coach Joe Ukika talks with sophomore Tom Clark from Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Senior end Al Pierce from Washington, D.C. did an outstanding job on defense, and junior Jan Loomy from Port Washington, New York. Athletic director Red Rolfe meets with 3 of Dartmouth's fine quarterbacks at the Dartmouth Outing Club cabin overlooking the Connecticut River. Junior Dick Horton from Reading, Massachusetts, is a standout linebacker. Senior Bill Madden from Elyria, Ohio, was probably the Ivy League's most dependable safety man, while junior Bruce Gottschall from Hammond, Indiana, quarterbacked the 2nd Indian unit. The 19 graduating seniors who have played their last game for Dartmouth have some cherished memories to look back upon. They won 28 games while losing only 5 during their 4 years in Hanover. They will never forget their fine record, the fun they had in playing, or the pride they had in representing Dartmouth.